Howdy! Welcome to Aspire Mountain Academy. I'm Professor Curtis, your instructor for this course in Introductory Statistics. In less than 10 minutes, this video discusses cumulative frequency distributions and shows how to create them in StatCrunch. Let's get started. We've talked about transforming frequency distributions into relative frequency distributions by using percentages. Now, we're going to talk about another type of frequency distribution called a cumulative frequency distribution. A cumulative frequency distribution reports the counts for each category as well as all previous categories before it. Now, to show how this works, let's look at the IQ score frequency distribution that we saw in the previous mini lecture. Look here at the second class or category, 70 to 89 IQ score. Okay, here the cumulative frequency count is the frequency count for this category plus the frequency count for all categories that come before it. So we have 35, which comes from 33 and 2. So 33 is the count for this category plus the 2 for the category before it makes 35. And this pattern continues with the third class or category. So 90 to a 109 IQ score. Notice we have a count of 35. Here the cumulative frequency count is the frequency count for this category plus the frequency count for all categories that come before it. So we have 35 plus the 33 plus the 2. So that makes 70. And we just keep going for all the other classes or categories in our table. And there's your cumulative frequency distribution. Now, if you need to create a graphical cumulative frequency distribution, you can do that in StatCrunch. But you have to have a cumulative frequency distribution table to do it. You can't get it from a data set like we've been seeing before. So let's demonstrate this using the POTUS data file in the class StatCrunch group. If we want to make a cumulative frequency distribution of the years that elected U.S. presidents lived after being elected to office, we first need to create a cumulative frequency distribution table in StatCrunch. Now, if your assignment allows you to import it into the worksheet, that's great. Otherwise, you can just enter it yourself, okay, and type it into the worksheet directly. Then we go to Graph, bar chart with summary, because the table is a summary of the data and not the actual data themselves. Okay, then in the options window, okay, that appears, then we're going to go into select our categories and then go to order by and select count ascending. Okay, then we press compute and out pops our frequency distribution in graphical form. Okay. Now, if you prefer to see how to do this in StatCrunch via video, here you go. And I also, try to help you out with this. So here we go. Okay, we're here in the POTUS data file. We're going to make a cumulative frequency distribution. To do that, we have to have the cumulative frequency distribution table in our worksheet space. So here I've actually typed in the different categories, the frequency counts, and then use those to make the cumulative frequency counts. Notice I've also changed the labels of my categories here, and that's easy to do. You just click on the title there, and you can name it whatever you want. And that's really helpful for when you go into the options window, so you know which column is actually the ones you want to select. Let's go ahead and get there now. So to make my cumulative frequency distribution, I'm going to go up to Graph, bar plot with summary, because here we have just a summary of the data in a table and not the data itself. Then my categories, see, because I labeled those columns, I know exactly where to go. My counts are the cumulative counts. I want to order by count ascending. So the default is value ascending. You want count ascending. And then I can put the value above bar if I want to. or I don't have to because I've got the table right there. Either way, I can compute, and there's my cumulative frequency distribution. Now what happens if you actually were to use the default selection? Well, if I use that default selection of value ascending, here's what comes out. See how this category here for 5 to 10, it really should be here, but it actually stuck it up here over the end. So the categories are in the wrong order, and that's why you want to always, when you make your cumulative frequency distribution, hit count ascending. The other way to do it is by using the worksheet. So if I use worksheet, it puts it in the same order that I have listed here in my worksheet, which of course is the same order for count ascending in this instance, so that works too. I hope that helped you. Okay, let's practice what we've just learned to solve an example problem. Here we have a frequency distribution table for the taxi out times for a sample of 48 flights. The taxi out time is how long it takes a passenger plane to taxi out to the takeoff position on the runway. Now, can you take this frequency distribution and create a graphical form of the cumulative frequency distribution? Go ahead, pause the video, get your graph made, then come back and finish this out. I'll wait right here for you. Okay, your cumulative frequency distribution should look like this. If it doesn't, then I'll show you how to get there. Okay, here in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that. If you got the cumulative frequency distribution right, feel free to watch the video or just skip this part and go on with the example problem. Here we go. Okay, I'm here in StatCrunch. We're going to make a cumulative frequency distribution for the flight taxi out times data file. So here in the group, I go and find that data file. It's right here. I click on it to open it. And here's the actual raw data. Now these are actual frequency counts. We want our cumulative frequency count. So I'm just going to put in the next column over here, identify this as my cumulative counts. And then I'm just going to go ahead and make my cumulative frequency distribution count. So the first column is always the same. And the next column is 10 plus 20 gives me 30. The 30 plus 9 gives me 39. 39 and 1 make 40. 40 and 2 make 42. 4, I can just keep on going till I've got everything there. Okay, great. Now I'm ready to make my cumulative frequency distribution. Go to graph, bar plot with summary. Categories are in taxi out time. Counts are in cumulative. I want to order by count ascending. And if I want, I can put values above the bar. Hit compute. And there's my cumulative frequency distribution. Hope this is what you got. And if not, then just go ahead and review this video and keep practicing it until you can do this on your own. Okay, we're back to our example problem, and we have our cumulative frequency distribution. Now we're ready to practice some interpretation skills. So, does the distribution suggest that the time required to taxi out can be predicted with reasonable accuracy? I'll give you a moment to make your response. Well, it doesn't. With the cumulative frequency distribution, what you want to look for is how quickly these cumulative counts, how quickly do we get up to 100% of the data values? So they're always going to reach 100% of what you got, but the question is, how quickly does it get there? Here there is something of a gentle slope. Okay, if you can imagine connecting the tops of the bars. So it doesn't jump up and then come over. It incrementally comes up. That means there's a few flights in the lowest time category. These flights don't take long to taxi. But the general slope means there's a lot more that do take a while to taxi. Probably waiting in queue for other planes to take off, since you can only do that one at a time. And that brings us to the end of this mini lecture. I hope it was helpful for you. You can find more mini lectures for this and other courses at AspireMountAcademy.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.